Alright, here we go. I'm definitely walking on landmines by making this video, but I'm ready to take it on. My defense of The Last of Us Season 2, from a guy who didn't play the games. And I know I can already hear the groans from some people who probably think I'm about to tell them what they should feel about the game they played and how it translated into the show. But that's not what this video is. This video is only meant to be a defense from someone who enjoys the television show version from the outside looking in. I'm not here to pick fights with people based on the material of The Last of Us games. I'm only here to give my defense of a show that I don't personally think is what a lot of the internet makes it out to be. I'm going to talk about why I think it's not as good as Season 1 to start, talk about what it means to dislike these characters while also understanding them, give my take on what this season's story is representing to me, and then finally, I will also speak on what the future holds for Season 3. I sincerely hope that any person who comments on this video does so in a way that is respectful, whether you agree with what I say or disagree with it. But that's just wishful thinking, so I hope people prove to me that they can be honest and good with what I'm about to say. There are several reasons as to why I think Season 2 is not as good as Season 1, and I think a majority of people out there would probably agree with that notion that Season 1 is better, even if they think that Season 2 is just slightly lesser than Season 1, or if maybe they don't like Season 2 at all and think it's just a pile of garbage, which I personally disagree with heavily. I don't usually grade the media that I consume on this channel, but if I were to give a grade to both seasons, I would give Season 1 a solid 9 out of 10, and I'd give Season 2 a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Although I'm leaning more on it being a 7.5. There is a lot of good television in Season 2, from the performances, the action, production design, and so on, but there are some things that lessen its quality, and the first thing is how HBO Max has handled this season structurally. The biggest aspect of television that has lost a sense of soul recently in the last however many years, especially since streaming has become bigger, is that seasons have become smaller and shorter. HBO has been known to be the gold standard of great and masterful television, and yet, at least with a couple of shows recently, they have started to become something that I don't recognize 100% of the time. As someone who has watched both The Last of Us and a show like House of the Dragon, I have noticed certain practices that make me question a lot going on. One of those practices, as I just said, is shrinking down how long a season of television is. House of the Dragon Season 1 was 10 episodes long, Season 2 was only 8 episodes, The Last of Us Season 1 was 9 episodes, and then Season 2 was shrunk down to 7. Why they did this? Who the fuck really knows anymore at this point? If this is some cost-cutting measure that David Zaslav, the new CEO of Warner Brothers, has implemented, then it's probably one of the dumbest things he could have done. Although, the dumbest thing he did do was change the name of HBO Max to just Max, so we already know that he's capable of making really stupid decisions. By shrinking down these seasons of television, it is showing to me that he is not capable of seeing the great potential within the stories of these properties and allowing them to breathe enough to feel fully worth it. Even though I'm still going to keep watching both shows because I'm enjoying both of them for the most part, it does dissatisfy me in a way that makes me worried for the rest of the brand of HBO Max and how it will handle television in the future. Even I, as someone who has enjoyed more than not with regards to Disney Plus television that we've gotten in recent years, recognizes that Disney is probably the worst studio out there when it comes to making television, and HBO all of a sudden has taken some notes from them. Disney Plus shows are sometimes 6 episodes long, and each episode is 30 minutes with 10 minutes of fucking credits included in. That is not how you make good television. That is probably the worst thing that you could do structurally, and it just makes it look like you're trying to make as much in quantity rather than focusing on the quality. I'm hoping that we don't see that happen again with HBO, because they are the last TV brand that should have that kind of thing happen to them. Other than my issues with the structure of Season 2 and how it lacked there, I was a bit thrown off with regards to some other things going on with characters like Ellie, certain video game aspects that I noticed with how the story is told, but for the most part, I still enjoyed the season, even if, like I said already, think it was not as good as Season 1. And this now leads into the conversation around the most divisive aspect of the season, which is what it means to dislike characters while understanding their motivations. I read this in a YouTube comment section, but someone laid it out perfectly for this aspect of The Last of Us story. The best thing about The Last of Us is that it paints flawed characters in an apocalyptic world with nuance and empathy. You are supposed to feel like you can dislike any character for doing something that may have been selfish at first, but you then go on to understand why they did it in the first place, and it brings them back around for you to like them. That is a great representation of some of these characters, in particular our two main ones with Joel and Ellie. As opposed to The Last of Us Season 1, I have been getting the strong inclination that this season is meant to be all about choice and how we perceived that choice through the liking and disliking of a character. From their own viewpoint, every character sees themselves as right and can make an argument to support it. They also might question that viewpoint, and we see it happen multiple times. Joel's decision to do what he did in that hospital to save Ellie was a choice that certainly has a lot of people agreeing with it and a side of people disagreeing with it. Here we are now in Season 2, and the situation we find ourselves in, where we get another one of those circumstances, is Ellie going on her mission of revenge after Joel was killed by Abby and her group that are the remaining Fireflies. Do you dislike or like Ellie for doing this, like how we asked the same question with Joel with what he did? And do you also like or dislike how both handled the after effects? Those are the deepest questions. Because the second part of the story focuses on Ellie's journey a lot more, I am able to see how I can like and dislike this character. I think when we are looking at The Last of Us, the thing that makes it so great when analyzing it from that perspective is that when the character is written with deep moral complexity, you feel more attached to it emotionally. How are we able to watch these people wrestle with their humanity in the worst and best ways? Joel and Ellie are a great representation of that, not just from the consequences of their actions based on part 1 and part 2, but also their relationship as a father to daughter kind of thing. Obviously not by blood though. The characters stay true to their own internal logic, even if their choices are inconsistent with what you would do, and I felt that a lot. The one time the whole show I felt it the most with Ellie being inconsistent was in the finale, when she wanted to save the Seraphite kid being assaulted by the WLF. Wanting to save that kid carries a slight notion of good intentions. However, knowing her conversation with Jesse before that, and also who'd they face in a fight, it didn't seem logical to try. The timing was not the best for that moment of heroics. Even when her and Jesse are on the rooftop overlooking the coast trying to pinpoint Tommy's location and they get into an argument, I questioned Ellie again. This girl is so fueled by rage and revenge that all she thinks about is wanting to do well by Joel to avenge him and nothing more. It's an incentive that doesn't make you align with her even though you understand her point of view. The way that Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin have written Ellie here is to show you what rage, selfishness, and revenge can really do to someone if what they are fighting for is fully gone and they don't know if they have anyone else that feels like their true community. That's what Joel was to Ellie, and if she didn't get that revenge, she would have to live with knowing his killers were roaming around without justice to be had. Seth made a good point about that in his speech during that town hall meeting in Jackson, and I think Ellie took inspiration from that. Also, just as a side note, the actor Robert John Burke who plays Seth did a damn good job in that scene. I also say this as much with a character like Joel. The moment for me in the season that made me say, yeah, I don't agree with how you handled that, is how he kills Eugene. Again, like with Ellie, I understand why the motivation for making the decision to do that to him was made. We know he had to be killed, but his other decision to insensitively lie to Gale about what was actually happening and breaking his promise to Ellie makes him look even worse, and is the main reason Ellie is able to find out about what he really did and that he lied about what he did at the hospital. The ultimate story of a character like Joel is don't lie and hold true to your promises. Be truthful about how you feel, about what your intentions are, about what you're really going to do or what you have done. Lying is the #1 worst way relationships turn to dust and are ruined, no matter if it's romantic, family related, or even just a regular friendship. That is why Ellie says as much to him when they are on the porch during New Year's, that if he did lie to her again, it's over between them. And that's where we get to what The Last of Us Part 2 to me is another representation of, which is a story about forgiveness. Multiple different characters in this season go through aspects of forgiveness, from our main characters to even some of the side characters like Seth, who apparently is given way more screen time in this adaptation, whereas he got very little in the game itself. After what he said to Dina and Ellie at the New Year's party, he decides to help them on their journey, and by giving them that shake of the hand to Ellie, there is a sense of forgiveness there for his actions. With a character like Jesse in the finale, after all the shit that they went through in Seattle, before they are ready to leave, he and Ellie come to terms about their relationship and how they really feel about each other. Ellie doesn't hate Jesse, and Jesse doesn't hate Ellie, even though that's how they might have presented it at first during the Seattle story. They just had differences in how they were trying to handle their situations, both selfish in their own ways, even though you could definitely say that Ellie was a little bit more selfish. Jesse is a damn good dude, and Ellie saying that to him was good enough for that forgiveness to feel true. Gail, played by Catherine O'Hara, was another instance of the act of forgiveness when she and Joel have that sit-down therapy session, and she admits that she hates him for what he did to Eugene and how he lied about it to her, but she forgives him for it because she understands, and because it was a moment where they both needed to get off their chest what they were feeling. It's one of the rare instances where Joel is actually truthful when speaking on something very hard to discuss. And then we have the biggest example of them all with the porch scene. The scene that apparently a lot of gamers have been waiting for, and according to a lot of them, they believe it was done almost just as good as it was in the game. The added backstory to Joel with the flashback of him and his dad was a fantastic addition, and you can see all that pain he had carried with him for so long come out in that sequence as he opens up to Ellie. It is an extremely powerful scene between two very good actors. That definitely made me emotional. And again, it's another instance of forgiveness, where Ellie tells him as much that it'll be hard to try and forgive him, but she at least does want to try, because he was able to open up to her for once. It shows that forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation, and that it often requires letting go of vengeance, your pride, or the need for closure. After what Ellie did to Mel and Owen, it seemed she learned that lesson very fast, just like Joel did, being able to learn of letting go if it is able to better help those around you. None of these characters are perfect, and they all feel flawed, and I really like that kind of story, even if I don't think it was all as well handled as it should have been. I know some people were not fully on board with the whole Dina and Ellie relationship, and to a degree, it was a bit jarring, but I think it had its ebbs and flows and showed a side to these characters that were going on a mission that could show a darker side to them. I most certainly didn't think it was the worst thing on earth that I've ever seen. I also know that people think that we didn't get enough rage and badass Ellie, and in some cases, I agree and disagree. I think we definitely could have seen a little bit more from her, but there was also a worry that maybe they would try too much and it'll come off like Ellie was unstoppable to the point where it would feel a bit unrealistic. Just food for thought in case there's anyone here who wanted that like how it was depicted in the game. In a video game, you're able to get away with a lot of that stuff more than you can on a TV show, so that's just something to point out. And now, we have reached the moment where I give my defense of the season, and it's going to start with a rant that I have about social media and the internet as a whole. I'm gonna use a very good comment here from someone named Nostalgia Zoom in a comment thread on a YouTube video that I watched. If I remember correctly, this had to do with breaking down the writing of the show, especially when the showrunners talk about it in post-episode recaps and how talking with people about it who disagree on its quality is just painful. He says, 100% agree, and the amount of people trash-talking your point by repeating the same pretentious phrases in the comments is ridiculous. It's like people want to watch an episode and have their opinion on it be done the second the episode ends. So if they didn't catch something or didn't understand, boo-hoo, the show did a bad job. I don't want to have to actually think and analyze. Like, really? What about theorizing? Analysis? I don't want to get a piece of media completely out of my head the second it ends. I want to think, analyze, maybe rewatch a couple scenes to get a better understanding of the things I missed. There is nothing wrong with it. No piece of media owes it to you to be understood by you on the first watch, or we would all be watching really stupid cartoons where everything is spoon-fed to you, or God forbid, you'll miss something. I guess people just stopped reaching for knowledge in general, and there is a certain amount of entitlement that comes with it. Everything must be understood to me. If it's not my fault, it's their fault. It's stupid, not am I. And the amount of people that genuinely think like that is terrifying. Honestly, I don't think you could have nailed it on the head any better than that when it comes to the experience of what it's like to be a part of the discourse this show has brought with Season 2. I truly feel like we are experiencing the Last Jedi effect here, and with regards to any game that has ever existed, I think it is definitely the worst when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2. It is nothing but people on both sides, whether you like or dislike it, fighting each other to the death, as if you have something to really latch onto and stand by. To be clear, I have seen this happen with people who have liked the show and disliked the show. However, in my case, it is far worse with the people who dislike it. Anytime I have tried to talk to somebody who disliked this season, it is nothing but arguments and the other side being so bad only for them to go on to be the worst kind of person and bully an actress like Bella Ramsey, for example. But we'll talk about that in a minute. That is where I totally agree with the entitlement part of that comment that I just read out. Everyone that I talk to that hates the show is so quick to shut you down without the conversation even having a chance to begin. And I have some moments where I talk to people who like the show, and that kind of thing happened as well. But with the people who hate this season, it is so much more toxic. They are like, you didn't play the game, so that means you can't speak on the quality of the show. Like, what the fuck? By far one of the dumbest and most entitled things you could ever say is that. It truly makes me wonder if a lot of these people are just trying to be a part of the negative side of the conversation to be a part of it and nothing more. That's why I'm always looking for the reasonable people to have conversations with, no matter how we might feel about it. Social media engagement has gotten so much worse and has blurred the lines between creators and audiences. Some fans now feel like they own the franchises they love and their characters. When the story doesn't go the way they want, they react with hostility, as if they were wronged, hence the entitlement. It's one of the biggest reasons why so many people are so avoiding of franchise-based IP these days when it comes to discussion. They don't want to have anything to do with it because they see how bad fans can really be. This is why I'm so hesitant to believe a lot of what I read from people on social media these days. Algorithms on these platforms have been purposely structured to bury the nuanced and reasonable takes from people on either side and only feed into the more aggressive and rage bait takes of them all. I don't know where I read this, but I remember someone saying it perfectly the way it is. The engagement bait, performative rage bait, and hyper mad takes of the internet are now currency and no longer conversation. The internet nowadays is filled by people being paid to say and do dumb shit all the time now. Disagreement is seen as a threat, not a dialogue, and media literacy is not present anymore. And I know that gets said a lot these days, but it's true. The idea that one aspect of a piece of media that wasn't done as well now automatically means the entire thing is horrible has become quite a popular thing to do, and it's so fucking stupid. Ellie is the big example for that in this season. People don't like how Ellie was done in the season, and so now that automatically means the rest of the season was horrible for them. There are so few people left who can actually have honest conversations with each other regardless how they feel about a media property. I simply do not tolerate it anymore from the worst of the worst kinds of people. This is why my whole life I have stayed true to the motto of enjoy first, critique it last. That is the healthiest way I have been able to consume entertainment, TV show wise, movie wise, video game wise, or even from a book that I read. These days, it is the opposite for a lot of people. They just want to critique something quickly and get it over with, and not even try to consume it normally. All of this crap has just really gotten out of hand, and one day I'm hoping it can fix itself, but that too is also wishful thinking. I also think that just when watching season 2 and consuming this story, it was so well executed by the cast. Everyone in this show is fantastic, from Joey Pantoliano as Eugene, O'Hara as Gale, the actors including Kaitlyn Dever as Abby, who are a part of the Firefly Squad, Jeffrey Wright as Isaac, who I really enjoyed, to even our main cast. Gabriel Luna as Tommy is great, young Mazino as Jesse is great, Isabela Merced as Dina, who is the underrated star of the season, and then Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie. From what I've read online, a lot of the gamers that have played the Part 2 story think the show improves a lot of these characters like Dina, like Jesse, and so on, and I think the actors were a factor in that. I think some of these people are definitely going to get nominated at the Emmys this year. And yes, I do think that Bella Ramsey was good in this season. When you don't have a bitch in your ear telling you otherwise or bullying her, then you can actually be normal and recognize how good Bella actually was. I said I would talk about it, and I'm going to. If you are somebody bullying Bella Ramsey right now, you are a fucking loser. Plain and simple. I'm sorry if the truth hurts, but you need to hear it. What has Bella Ramsey done to you that you feel the need to ruin this girl's life? Thankfully for Bella, they don't have to see all the bullshit people say about them or make about their looks if I were to reference all the stupid images that are made making fun of them that way. What does that accomplish? If the goal was to make one meme of it at first, sure, that's one thing, but now it has been used as a weapon to where I don't blame Bella for leaving social media entirely. Ruining an actor's life when they have been given the dream role of their career does nothing but completely leave any and all of your points about the show null and void. Why are we still doing this shit, man? Have we not learned from Jacob Lloyd and Ahmed Best in the Star Wars prequels and any other examples of when actors and creatives get harassed for just doing their job? Even the people behind The Last of Us 2 game got it bad. I remember that time. Laura Bailey, the voice actor who voiced Abby in the game, received death threats, all cause her character did something you don't like, but yeah, blame it on the actress playing her. If you disagree with anything I said in this section of the video, then I'm sorry, you are a piece of shit human being and don't deserve to be taken seriously. You can make a point about an actor's performance without resorting to belittling them or wanting them to die. I give nothing but my honest opinions on here, and that is me being as honest as I've probably been since I started making videos on the channel for film and television. More people need to stand up to this bullshit. And also, one more thing. If you are somebody who got offended at the line Ellie said to Dina about being a dad, then you are softer than dog shit. I don't ever usually use the word soft in this context, but I'm sorry, there is no holding back here. That is the most harmless line of dialogue ever written, and yet the dumbass culture war bullshit of the internet has affected this show from the audience, and that line is the one that has sent them into continuing to be the dumbest people on the planet. I haven't seen a reaction that bad to a line of dialogue since the character of Bix said the word rape in Andor Season 2. Like, holy shit, man, if that makes you uncomfortable, then just don't watch this damn show. This is why I have enjoyed watching reaction channels more when watching this show, because they are filled with people who have played and not played the game and are more mature human beings than any people that I talk to on a Twitter comment section, giving their honest and reasonable takes on stuff that happens in the show, whether they like it or dislike it, and are not worried with being a part of the worst parts of the internet that are nothing but echo chambers. With all that being said, the finale clearly sets up that we are going to get another season, and it was already reported a long time ago that we were going to get a third, as they are stretching out the second game to be able to fit enough of the story from the second game into the whole show. I'm definitely also not forgiving HBO for this one as well when starting the third season right away. That is another aspect of the streaming age of television that has significantly hurt the television structure that we have become accustomed to in recent years. That is a very huge mistake on their part. With the ending showing Jesse get killed by Abby as she was able to track them down and it cut to black, it now seems like we are going to get her side of the story, and the question remains, are people going to want to wait around that long to see her part? I can imagine that that's going to go very well with a lot of different people. At this rate, regardless of what happens, I just have to accept that there is no winning with this property anymore now that we are on the second part of the game. It is by far one of the most toxic spaces of discourse I have ever been a part of, and I miss how it was for Season 1. It's also funny to me that I am seeing people online completely misconstrue the viewership numbers of the season compared to the first season. Yes, there was a viewership decline, but that was expected, especially after episode 2 when they killed off Joel. However, the difference is, something you won't hear a lot of people tell you, is that the show is still being viewed by millions and millions of people worldwide, episode by episode, and it's still one of the most popular television shows airing today. For someone like me, I like to consider the idea that the internet is just the echo chamber where people who are the loudest go to yell at the sky, and for the most part, the more normal people out there are ones who can say that they thought the show was still decent or a little mediocre for Season 2 and at least voice their opinions on it normally. Because again, at the end of the day, if you dislike this season, I'm cool with it. I won't agree with you, but I'm still cool with it. I would love to have a conversation with you about what we think differently on. If we are able to have a good conversation about it, then that's what I want to entertain the most. And there you have it. That is my long commentary and analysis of The Last of Us Season 2 and my defense of it. I knew what I was getting into with this video, and I'm not ashamed of anything that I said. Everything you heard was full-blown honesty and my own opinions. At the same time, I also just can't wait to not talk about this show again for the next year or so. What do you all think about my analysis? Leave your comments down below, and please be respectful if you disagree with anything I said. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you all for stopping by my channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, and turn on that notification bell. I am currently trying to build a community on here, and your support would be appreciated. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. That's a wrap, folks. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.